Diane was hunched over my phone, her long nails clicking across the screen like she was auditioning for some cyber thriller. The moment she realized I was watching, she froze like a thief caught mid-heist. "Just checking the weather," she mumbled, not even trying to sound convincing. "At 2 in the damn morning?" I didn't say anything, not yet anyway. I let it slide. Because in that instant, something in my gut screamed louder than logic, something my brain didn't want to deal with just yet. I pretended to buy it, rolled over like it was nothing. But sleep? That was out the window. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. I could feel it in my bones. Next morning, Diane put on her sweetest act, singing while she made coffee, grinning like a Hallmark actress, all syrup and sunshine. But when she kissed me goodbye before supposedly heading to yoga, I noticed something odd. She didn't take her yoga mat. What she did take, though, was every bit of my attention. The second she walked out, I grabbed my phone and opened up my banking app, or at least I tried to. Password didn't work. Tried again. Same error. Then I remembered something she didn't know, something I never told her. I had a backup account. Hidden. Separate app. Totally off the radar. Emergency fund. When I logged into that account, my heart nearly stopped. Balance, $38.56. I damn near choked. That account used to have over $500,000 in it. Gone. Just like that. Panic rushed in like a flood. I opened the transaction history. One hit after another. Wire transfers, travel reservations, high-end rentals. All of it processed through my phone. My fingerprint. She must have cloned my banking app or planted spyware. Somehow stole my credentials and drained it all. I sat there, frozen in place, staring down at that empty screen like it was a gravestone. But as bad as that felt, it was just the beginning. 2 days later, she strolled back in like royalty returning from a grand tour. Tanned, glowing, wheeling in a suitcase that probably cost more than our whole damn couch. "It was incredible," she said, tossing her heels across the floor like souvenirs. "The Seychelles? Just unreal." I didn't say a word. Not yet. Then she looked me dead in the face, gave that smug little grin, and said it. "Thanks to your phone, I had a blast blowing through your 500 grand. I blinked. A slow smile crept across my face. Then I laughed, but not a normal laugh. Not the kind that says, "I'm okay." It was the kind that makes your spine itch, quiet, hollow, dangerous. Because what she didn't realize was this: she'd been playing with fake money. That account? It wasn't real. Not really. It was linked to a ghost account I set up years ago when I was working in tech, testing finance integrations. I'd rigged my decoy banking app to that old burner account. The actual money? Safe. Untouched. "Hope you enjoyed spending Monopoly cash," I said, voice calm, cool as ice. Her smirk wavered. "What?" "You heard me," I said. "You and your boy toy just blew through a 5-star fantasy vacation paid for with digital air." Her jaw tightened. "You're lying." Without a word, I pulled a flash drive from my pocket and dropped it on the kitchen counter. Full log. Every IP. Every access. Every unauthorized tap. Already sent it to the fraud unit at the bank. "And by the way, what you did? That's federal-level crime." Diane's face twisted into something mean. But instead of backing down, she sneered. "Oh, give me a break. No one's gonna buy your little sad boy story. You're just pissed someone finally outplayed you." And that's when it finally clicked. She wasn't scared. Not even a little. She wasn't sorry, either. She wasn't even pretending anymore. Diane never loved me. She loved the lifestyle. The money. The image. I was a walking ATM with a pulse, and she thought she'd finally emptied the vault. The mask was gone, and underneath it was pure venom and high heels. "You should have seen his hands," she said suddenly, voice low, eyes gleaming. "Way stronger than yours." She wanted me to snap, to blow up, to give her a reason to cry abuse. But I didn't flinch. I just looked her in the eye and said, "Diane, you're gonna regret ever walking back through that door." Because this wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was a declaration of war. I didn't sleep that night, not because of the money. Hell, the money was safe. What kept me awake was something worse. I looked into the eyes of the woman I married, and there was nothing there. No shame. No guilt. Not a single spark of remorse. Just poison, dressed up in perfume and a smile. That night, she took a long, steamy shower, humming like she hadn't just tried to rob me blind. I sat there in the dark, just me and my phone, parked at the kitchen table like a ghost haunting my own home. No lights, no sound, just that screen glowing in my hand while I replayed everything over and over. The deleted texts. The calls at midnight from numbers that never showed a name. The sudden sale, she claimed, led to brand new lingerie. I should have caught on sooner. But love? Love blinds you. And trust? That's what keeps you blind long after the damage is done. It's like falling into a coma with your eyes wide open. When she finally came out of the bathroom, steam trailing behind her and a towel barely clinging on, she looked at me like I was some stranger overstaying his welcome. What now? She scoffed. Still sulking over your little pretend bank account. I stood up slow. My voice was steady. Who was he? She blinked like she hadn't expected that, then smiled like she'd been waiting for it. You sure you want to know? I do, I said, though every nerve in me was already bracing for the answer. She rolled her eyes and walked to the fridge like we were just having a lazy Sunday chat. His name's Darren. You remember him, right? The guy who fixed our garage door last summer. She actually laughed. Looks like he fixed more than that. My hands clenched before I even knew it. I didn't step forward. Didn't yell. I just stood there, burning from the inside. You let him into our house, into our bed. She gave a little shrug, like she was explaining a new recipe. What can I say? He's good with his hands. You just overthink everything. And that right there, that smug, unbothered tone, was worse than the cheating itself. She wasn't ashamed. She was proud. Like she thought what she did made her clever. That's when something inside me finally snapped. I walked past her without a word, straight into the bedroom, and opened the closet. She was still rummaging around the fridge when she noticed. You're not seriously kicking me out, she said, shutting the door with her hip. You think you can just toss my whole life into a box and be done with me? No, I said, opening the safe. I'm not packing your life. I'm locking down mine. Inside that safe wasn't just money. It held everything she never knew existed. Signed documents. Copies of our prenup. A hidden camera. The one I planted months back when her yoga trips started smelling like perfume and hotel sheets. I dropped the flash drive back into the safe and sealed it up. When I turned around, her eyes were locked on the box. No smirk this time. What's on that drive? She asked. I didn't say a word. Her voice started climbing. What did you record? Still nothing from me. Then she lunged, reached for the safe like she could still control the story. I stepped aside, let her crash to the floor. She screamed. Hi. Sharp, like glass shattering down a hallway. You're insane. You think anyone's gonna believe your twisted little fantasy? I'll say you hit me. I'll tell them you've been spying on me. I looked down at her. I have been spying on you, Diane. That's kind of the point. She froze. The emails, the voice notes, the footage. Hell, you didn't even bother hiding it. You were drunk half the time. You left your damn panties in the guest bathroom. You really thought I wouldn't notice? She backed up, slowly, getting to her feet like a scared animal trying to act brave. I was going to leave you anyway, she said suddenly, trying to sound in control again. You're dull. Spineless. I need a real man. I smiled at her. Well, now you've got all the time in the world to find one. Alone. She charged at me like she wanted to knock my teeth out with the back of her hand. But I caught her wrist before it got close. Try that again, I warned, low and even. And your boyfriend's gonna get a personal visit from my attorney. He's gonna love what's on that drive. Fraud, conspiracy, stolen access to a federal account. You really think he's ready to lose his cushy job over a late-night quickie? Her eyes widened. Finally, a flicker of fear. You wouldn't. I already did. She gasped, a shaky inhale that didn't quite reach her lungs. You think I didn't track every transaction? Every GPS ping? You didn't just steal from me, Diane. You spit in my face while doing it. And that's what I won't forgive. She didn't say anything after that. No tears. No sorry. No excuses. She just turned, walked to the bedroom, and shut the door like we'd argued about who forgot to buy milk. But I didn't follow her. I went back to the kitchen, sat down, and stared out the window like I was waiting for the wind to answer all the questions swirling in my head. There was a breeze picking up outside, rustling through the trees. It reminded me of something simple. Nothing stays still forever. Betrayal doesn't just show up and stay. It blows through like a storm. And yeah, it wrecks everything in its path. But wreckage? That can be rebuilt. And I wasn't finished yet. Didn't sleep much that night either. By the time sunlight started bleeding through the blinds, the whole place felt colder, quieter. Like even the house had figured out who she really was. Diane stayed holed up in that bedroom until noon. She finally came out of the bedroom, hair still a mess, mascara smudged beneath her eyes like she'd been crying. But those tears? They weren't for me. That woman was mourning herself, her mess, her plans falling apart. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, legs crossed, glued to her phone, probably texting Darren, or maybe scrambling for a backup, just in case her golden parachute bailed. "You're really gonna go through with this?" she asked, like the idea that I had the nerve was beyond her imagination. "Yeah," I said flatly. "You're gonna ruin my life over one little mistake?" One little mistake. That's what she called draining $500,000 and screwing the guy who fixed our garage door. That's what she called installing spyware on my phone while I was dead asleep next to her. I didn't respond. She started tapping her nails on the table like that would rattle me. "You really think people are gonna feel bad for you?" Some uptight guy in a tie whining because his wife found someone better. I looked up from my coffee. "Better?" I said. "You mean the part-time handyman with a violent record?" She blinked. "Didn't expect that." "I looked him up," I added, keeping my tone calm. "You really thought I wouldn't do a background check on the guy sneaking into my home while I was working? The same guy who left beer cans in my garage like it was his living room? And that's who you chose as your upgrade?" She leaned in, eyes hard. "He's more of a man than you'll ever be," she spat. I won't lie, that one landed harder than I wanted it to. Diane got up and started toward me like a brewing storm. She bent down close. I could still smell her perfume, familiar and toxic, like everything about her. "You're pathetic, Edvin," she whispered. "Always so careful. So predictable. You think money makes you powerful, but it makes you soft. That's why I took it. Because I knew you wouldn't fight back. You just take it. Like a sponge." I looked her straight in the eyes. "You're right," I said. "I did take it. For months. But I'm done soaking it up." She laughed then, threw her head back like this was all a comedy, and I was the punchline. "Oh, what now?" she snorted. "You gonna throw me out?" "No," I said. "You're walking out. Today. Because the second you walk back in, the restraining order activates." I watched the color drain from her face. "I filed it this morning," I went on. "Emergency protection order. Financial abuse, digital surveillance, emotional manipulation. The judge approved it an hour ago. The cops already have a copy. You come within 50 feet of this house after today, you're in violation." She opened her mouth like she had something sharp to say, but nothing came out. "You're insane," she finally said, voice cracking. "Insane enough to survive you," I replied. She turned on her heel and stormed off. I heard the closet door slam, drawers flying open, clothes tossed around. I didn't get up, didn't flinch, just sat there while she packed in a rage. 20 minutes later, she dragged a suitcase through the hallway. Her eyes were glassy, but her pride was still standing tall. At the front door, she paused. "You'll regret this," she said, her voice low and cold. "I already regret ever meeting you," I said back. Then she walked out. Just like that. The silence that followed was the loudest sound I've ever heard. No fridge hum. No birds. Just stillness and the slow creak of the floorboards when I finally stood up. I went to the bedroom, ripped the sheets off our bed, and threw open every window. Let the air in. Let it carry her sin out with it. But it still lingered on the pillow, and yeah, I hated that I noticed. The part that really gutted me, though, the part that buckled my knees, it wasn't the betrayal. It wasn't even the money. It was realizing I loved her. Not just the person I thought she was, but the illusion I held on to every time she looked at me like I mattered. That woman? She never existed. And grieving someone who was never real. That was the hardest part. I didn't show up to work for 3 days. Didn't answer the phone. Just let it buzz and vibrate itself into exhaustion. Messages from friends. A few from Diane's mom, asking why she'd moved out so suddenly. Even one voicemail from Diane herself. 10 seconds of silence. Then a sigh. Then the sound of a car engine starting. I deleted it. On day 4, I found myself standing in the garage, staring at the empty shelf where Darren's toolbox used to be. He left it behind one day, came back the next with Diane to get it. That was their first real moment alone, right there, under my roof. I remember handing them both a glass of water, watching from the kitchen window like a damn fool, thinking nothing of it. God, I was blind. I opened a cabinet, pulled out that bottle of bourbon I'd been saving since I got my last promotion. Didn't even bother with a glass. I drank straight from the bottle, right there, in the middle of the day. Halfway through nursing that bottle, my laptop chimed. Email from my lawyer. Subject line, confirmed recording. I clicked it. What popped up was silent footage from the tiny camera I'd hidden weeks earlier, tucked behind the guest bedroom curtain rod. No bigger than a damn shirt button. There she was. There they were. Diane and Darren, laughing, drinking, stripping, climbing into our guest bed like they owned the damn house. He leaned in and whispered something. She threw her head back and laughed loud, unbothered, didn't even bother shutting the door. I watched every second. Not because I needed evidence, no, I already had that. I watched it because I needed to destroy the image of her that still lived in the corners of my mind. The one who'd bring me coffee with that sleepy smile. The one who cried at sad movies, who kissed my forehead when I had the flu. That version of her needed to die. And that video? That was the bullet. Afterward, I spent the rest of the day gathering the scraps she left behind. Her clothes, jewelry, old letters, a box of greeting cards and worn-out movie stubs from dates that clearly meant more to me than they ever did to her. I dumped all of it in the trash without a second thought. The last thing I held onto was our wedding photo. She looked angelic that day. I just looked like a fool wrapped in lies. I burned it. The next night, fate had one more punch to throw. I ran into Darren, of all places, at a gas station. I was grabbing cigarettes. Funny part? I didn't even smoke anymore. And there he was, posted up next to Pump 6, leaning on a black Dodge Challenger. Diane sat in the passenger seat, eyes down, face lit up by her phone. He saw me first and grinned. She didn't even look my way. He strutted up like we were old buddies catching up. Edvin Phillips, he said with that smug smirk. She told me you were wound a little tight. Figured you'd have cooled off by now. Then he stepped in, too close for my taste. Look, man, no hard feelings. If she wasn't happy, that's when I hit him. Not hard enough to drop him, just enough to make his nose bleed and remind him I wasn't that guy anymore. The clerk inside yelled something I couldn't make out, and Darren lunged at me. But by then, I was already back in the car, tires screaming as I sped off. My heart was hammering so loud I could have sworn it cracked a rib. That night, I stared into the bathroom mirror and didn't recognize the guy staring back. Scruffy face, hollow eyes, wrapped in silence. But something changed in that moment. I realized I wasn't shattered. I was just unfinished. Everything she did, everything she stole, every time she whispered his name in my bed. It didn't get to define me. It tried to break me. And yeah, it cracked me in places, but I was still here, still upright. And that scared her more than anything, because I didn't fall apart. I started writing, not just journaling, but letters to myself, plans, goals. I booked therapy sessions, changed the locks, bought new sheets, wiped every password she'd ever known. And finally, I slept. Not just naps, not that twitchy half-sleep where your mind replays every mistake. Real sleep. The kind where you wake up and don't immediately wonder who she's with or what she's doing. Because I didn't care anymore. I was alone. But for the first time in years, I wasn't lonely. About 3 weeks after she walked out, her lawyer reached out. Said she wanted to talk. Which was code for. She figured out the money wasn't real, and now she's panicking. My attorney told me not to bite. Let her sweat in her own greed. But Diane? She never knew how to stew quietly. That night, around 9 p.m., my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. There she was. Dressed like she was headed to a nightclub. Tight black dress that screamed desperation louder than it did style. I didn't answer. She rang again, then knocked. I cracked the door but kept the chain on. She gave me a smile like we were old lovers meeting after a long misunderstanding. Can we talk? She asked, like nothing happened. Court's in 2 weeks, I said. You can talk there. Her smile faded a bit. You're actually serious about this? I was serious the moment you picked him, I said. She rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Edvin. We were falling apart anyway. No, I said. You were falling into someone else's bed. She didn't even flinch. You think you're better than me? She asked. No, I said. I just know I'm not a thief. That hit her. Her face twisted into that familiar expression, part fake pity, part pure venom. I made one mistake, she said, stepping a little closer. And you're going to throw away a whole marriage for that? One mistake. I repeated. I pulled out my phone, opened my notes app. Let's go over the list, I said. Spying, stealing, cheating, lying, mocking me to my face, dragging me through emotional hell. And doing it all while still sleeping in my house. You stopped being my wife the moment you started leeching off me like a parasite, I said. Her mouth opened like she had something to say, but nothing came out. She tried to shove the door open, but the chain stopped her cold. You don't get to wear the victim mask, I added, my voice low and firm. Not here. Not anymore. She backed off, but not before lobbing one last grenade over her shoulder. You'll miss me. No, I said quietly. I'll miss the version of you I thought was real. Then I closed the door. I stood there for a while, just listening, her heels clicking angrily down the concrete, fading into the night. And for the first time, I didn't feel the pull to chase her. That part of me, the man who made excuses for her lies, who said sorry just for asking honest questions, who bit his tongue to keep peace, that guy was gone. The weeks that followed were quiet. But not the kind of quiet that feels empty. It was the kind that felt earned. I started working out again, first time in over a year. Cleaned the house from top to bottom. Repainted the walls. Reclaimed my space, 1 square foot at a time. I even changed the bedroom layout. Moved the bed. New mattress. New furniture. No trace of her left. But healing? It doesn't move in a straight line. One night, I caught myself scrolling through old photos. Us at the lake. Her birthday in New York. Our honeymoon. And for a second, just a second, I wondered if any of it had ever been real. Did she ever love me? Or was it all just part of a long game I never knew I was playing? I'll never know. And maybe that's the part that cuts deepest. Not the betrayal. Not the lies. But not knowing which memories were genuine and which were scripted. She was good at the performance. Damn good. Still, there's a strange kind of strength in surviving something like that. You walk through fire thinking it'll burn you alive, and instead, it just melts off the old skin. I wasn't perfect. I'll own that. I probably worked too much. Maybe I stopped being as present as I should have been. But I never disrespected her. And I never betrayed her trust. And that's the line she crossed, the one I couldn't walk back from. I saw Darren once more. Drove past him on the road. Same black Challenger, but this time he was alone. No Diane. No smug smile. Just a quick glance and fading taillights. Part of me wondered if she played him too. Would have been poetic. But I didn't dwell on it. Because I was done living in the past. I was building something now. Not just a house or a schedule, a life. A life with no secrets. No lies. No warm body in bed who'd smile at me while slowly cutting me open from the inside. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I could actually breathe. 2 months passed. I didn't mark the days with a calendar, I marked them by moments. The first morning I woke up without thinking about her. The first evening I walked into the house and didn't feel that crushing silence. The first real laugh that didn't carry a shadow of guilt. Then came the court date. She arrived 10 minutes late, sunglasses on, clutching some overpriced handbag like it could protect her from what was coming. No Darren. No original lawyer either. He quit a week before after realizing she'd lied about everything. Her replacement looked like he'd just passed the bar. Showed up with a file so thin it was embarrassing. I sat across from her in a clean navy suit. Shoulders steady. Pulse calm. She looked at me once, just once, and I saw something shift. Not arrogance. Not fury. Just realization. The man sitting across from her wasn't the same fool she used to manipulate with a pout and a tight dress. The hearing didn't last long. The judge dismissed her nonsense about the shared account almost immediately. He asked for transaction logs. I had them. Asked for proof of spyware. I handed it over. Her lawyer fumbled, tried to bring up emotional neglect. The judge cut him off with a sentence I'll remember for the rest of my life. Financial fraud, unauthorized access to private accounts, and deliberate manipulation are not just poor behavior. They are crimes. Infidelity is not a defense. Case closed. She lost everything. What little she could have claimed under our prenup. Gone voided by fraud. No alimony. No share of the house. Not even the car. It was all in my name. She walked out of that courtroom in silence. And I didn't watch her go. She didn't deserve a goodbye. That night, I went home, poured a drink, and put on some old music. Something soft. Something slow. I sat out on the patio, letting the cool air bite at my skin, just enough to remind me I was alive. The stars were out. Quiet. Steady. Unbothered by all the storms we humans stir up. I thought about who I used to be before Diane, and who I might become now that she was gone. She didn't destroy me. She revealed me. She stripped away everything I thought made me strong and exposed what actually did. Anger. Patience. Resilience. I used to think I was the kind of man who avoided conflict. Turns out, I'm the kind of man who endures it and walks out stronger on the other side. After everything settled, friends started trickling back into my life. I let them in, told them the truth. We drank. We laughed. Some were shocked. Most just said, we never liked her anyway. One night, her name popped up on my phone. Blocked number, but you don't forget the rhythm of a name that once held weight. I didn't answer. She called again the next day. Left a voicemail. Edvin. I don't know what to say. I guess you got what you wanted. I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm sorry. I didn't listen to the rest. I deleted it. Because sorry means nothing when it's hollow. It doesn't fix broken trust. It doesn't repay stolen years. It doesn't unwrite a lie. Now, I live in truth. My mornings are quiet. My nights are peaceful. I started walking again. Even joined a local hiking group. There's a woman named Daphne, kind eyes, easy laugh. She listens. She never makes me feel like I need to earn basic respect. We're not dating. Not yet. But I'm not chasing anything anymore. Not love. Not closure. Not some fix for a hole someone else left behind. I'm just living. And if I could tell anyone who's been where I was one thing, it'd be this. Don't chase what shattered you. Don't beg chaos to give you clarity. Don't wait for apologies that will never come. Heal quietly. Build anyway. And when they come knocking again, don't open the door. Because peace, that's the real revenge. About 6 months out, I caught myself laughing. Really laughing. Not that tight, polite kind. The kind that sneaks up on you in the middle of a dumb movie you're roasting with friends. I don't even remember the movie, but I remember the feeling. Like someone had lifted a weight off my chest I didn't even know was there. That's when I realized something big. Healing isn't a single moment. It's 1,000 small ones that show up uninvited. Like the first time I drove past that restaurant we used to go to every Friday and felt nothing. Or the day I finally got rid of the couch she just had to have. The one she called aesthetic, but felt like granite. I replaced it with something soft. Mine. My world, once full of her perfume, her voice, her chaos, was quiet now. But not empty. I started volunteering twice a week at the community center. Nothing big. Just helping kids with homework. Running a few fitness workshops. It felt clean. Good. Like I was rebuilding something honest for me. Not for anyone else. One afternoon, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Sweaty from a workout. Hair a mess. A little scrape on my hand from fiddling with weights. And I smiled. Not because I looked good, but because I looked like me. Not the polished, dressed-up version she liked to show off. The real me. Flawed. Unfiltered. Free. Then came a DM. Instagram. No profile pic. No name. Just one line. You look happy. I missed that smile. I didn't need to guess who sent it. I didn't respond. I archived it, turned off my phone, grabbed my keys, and went for a drive. No destination. Just windows down, wind in my face, and movement. I ended up at a lookout point, just as the sun dropped behind the skyline. The whole city shimmered like a movie still. And that's when it hit me again, clear as ever. She didn't break me. She woke me up. Diane forced me to rebuild. But in doing so, she gave me something I never would have taken for myself. Permission to let go. To let go of the version of love I thought I had to settle for. To stop begging answers from someone who never had them. To quit fearing that being alone meant being unworthy. I don't check her social media. I don't ask around. If she's happy, great. If she's still lying her way through life, that's not mine to carry anymore. What is mine? Peace. Real peace. I sleep deep. I eat without that twisted knot in my gut. I smile for no reason. And for the first time in years, I'm not bracing for the other shoe to drop. Because once you've walked through hell, everything else? Just noise. It's over. And you won.